My name is David, and this is the confession of a father who failed to protect the person he loved most. There isn't a single day that passes without me thinking about Sophie. She was only 10 years old. She had the brightest smile, the gentlest heart, and a way of making even the darkest days feel lighter. After my first wife passed away, raising Sophie alone was difficult. When I met Grace, I thought life was finally giving us a second chance. Grace seemed kind, caring, and patient. Most importantly, she appeared to love Sophie. At least, that's what I believed. The truth was hiding behind closed doors, and I was too blind to see it. Every morning, I left for work believing my daughter was safe at home. Every morning, I unknowingly left her alone with her worst nightmare. At first, the changes in Sophie were subtle. She became quieter. The laughter that once filled our home slowly disappeared. She stopped inviting friends over. She avoided sitting near Grace. Whenever I asked if something was wrong, she would hesitate before answering. One evening, she walked into my room while I was checking work emails. "Dad, can I tell you something?" Without looking up, I replied, "Can it wait, sweetheart? I've had a long day." She stood there silently. Then she nodded. "Okay." I didn't realize that moment would haunt me forever. Over the following weeks, she tried again. And again. Each time, I was distracted. Busy, tired, too focused on work, too confident that everything at home was fine. One day, I noticed bruises on her arm. Grace quickly explained that Sophie had fallen while playing. Sophie lowered her head and said nothing. I accepted the explanation without asking more questions. That was another mistake. The signs were everywhere, but I kept missing them. Then came the day that changed my life forever. I was at work when Grace called me. Her voice was shaking. "David, something terrible has happened." My heart nearly stopped. When I arrived home, emergency respond. Grace claimed Sophie had fallen down the stairs while she was cleaning. The authorities initially treated it as a tragic accident. Everyone offered condolences. Everyone told me to stay strong. But deep inside, something felt wrong. Something wasn't adding up. The fear I had seen in Sophie's eyes before her death kept replaying in my mind. The unfinished conversations. The moments she had tried to speak. The times I had told her, later. Weeks passed. The house felt empty, silent. One afternoon, while organizing files in the security room, I remembered the CCTV system installed around the property. I hadn't looked at the footage since Sophie's death. Part of me didn't want to, but another part couldn't ignore the feeling that I was missing something. I began reviewing recordings from previous weeks. At first, everything appeared normal. Then I noticed something strange. Whenever I left for work, Grace's behavior changed. The smiling woman I knew seemed to disappear. The footage showed her yelling at Sophie, pushing her, threatening her. My stomach turned. I kept watching. What I discovered next shattered me. Day after day, the recordings revealed a pattern of cruel treatment. Sophie wasn't clumsy. She wasn't accident-prone. She was living in fear. And the person causing that fear was Grace. My hands trembled as I opened the footage from the day Sophie died. I prayed I was wrong. I prayed there was another explanation. There wasn't. The video revealed a confrontation between Grace and Sophie. The argument escalated. Then the footage captured the horrifying chain of events that led to my daughter's death. Instead of calling for help immediately, Grace spent hours trying to cover up what had happened. By the time authorities were contacted, she had already created a false story. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I felt like the walls were closing in around me. The woman I trusted had destroyed my daughter, and I had unknowingly helped her do it by ignoring Sophie. At first, she denied everything. But evidence doesn't lie. The recordings exposed every lie she told. Eventually, she confessed. The courtroom fell silent as the truth was revealed. I sat there listening, wishing I could turn back time. Wishing I had listened. Wishing I had asked one more question. Wishing I had protected my little girl. Grace was sentenced for her crimes. Justice was served. But justice couldn't bring Sophie back. It couldn't erase the memories. It couldn't silence the guilt. Today, when I look at Sophie's photograph, I don't just see the daughter I lost. I see the child who was trying desperately to be heard. A child who trusted her father to protect her. A child who kept asking for help. And a father who kept saying, later. If you're listening to this story, please remember this. Children rarely suffer in silence without a reason. When a child suddenly changes, pay attention. When they seem afraid, pay attention. When they ask to talk, stop what you're doing and listen. Because sometimes the smallest cry for help is hiding behind the quietest voice. And by the time the truth comes out, it may already be too late. Lesson: never ignore a child's fears, emotions, or attempts to speak about something that is troubling them. Children often communicate distress through changes in behavior before they find the courage to explain it with words. Listening attentively, asking questions, and taking their concerns seriously can protect them from harm and may even save a life.